In 2023, I decided to take on an insane challenge. I would make 100 paintings, finish complete paintings in 100 days. And what started as a fun side quest for me actually changed the whole trajectory of my art career. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Bruna. I'm a digital artist with 17 years of experience. But even though I started way back in 2008 when I was drawing with a mouse, it wasn't until the end of this 100 days challenge in 2023 that my art really took off. That's why in this video I want to share with you all the interesting things that happened during this challenge. Everything that went really well and everything that went quite wrong. So let's go. Let's start taking a look at the challenge rules. I created these rules for myself. Most of them were to make my life easier actually. So I had to paint a complete finished illustration every day. This illustration was going to be character based. That's basically just because it's what I really like to do is drawing characters. And it was going to be only fan art. Why fan art, you might ask? And there are 3 reasons for it. The first one is that I like painting fan art. It's just as simple as that. I really enjoy. I have a lot of fun painting fan art. So that was the first one. The second one was that if the characters were already created by someone else, so the design was all sorted out, that meant I didn't have to worry about design at all. I only had to worry about posing and coloring the character. If I had to, on top of it all, design something, that would be too hard for me. So that's why fan art. And the third reason was that fan art is a really easy way to reach a broader audience, because people will look at your art and they already have a connection with the character you painted, so it's much easier for them to connect to your art. So because of these 3 reasons, I decided it would be only fan art. Other than that, I was free to do whatever I wanted. I could do them in any pose. It could be any character from any show, whatever. Just had to follow these rules. And I also decided for some reason that I would also post it on Instagram every day, which, okay, pretty alright, like post the finished image, and also create a reel and post every day. So on top of creating the artworks, I still had to go through the footage, find a few snippets and create a reel and post every day on social media. And those were the rules of the challenge. So let's see what mindset shifts really transformed my art in just 100 days. The first change that I want to talk to you about is about how I realized one change that I could make to my art that dramatically increased the impact it could have. Let me tell you a story about that. On day 1, I started painting a portrait, and it was the same kind of portrait that I had been painting so far. A bust of a character. The character wasn't really doing anything, so it was a pretty simple painting. Despite it being so simple, I was actually quite proud of this, because on this painting, I added some graphic things on the background. I think it was like some thunder or something like that, and that's not something I was used to doing. I was like, oh, that really made the image look better. I love it. People are gonna love it as well. And then I posted it, and crickets. I had, I don't know, maybe 50 likes or whatever, but it didn't get the reaction that I was expecting from the audience. And for some reason, that really got to me. I was like, I really like this painting. Why didn't other people like it as well? Instead of just brooding and being sad about it, I decided to analyze other portraits that I liked. And I noticed what made a cool image, what made me like it. And out of all the possibilities, I came to the conclusion that I would do something about light and shadow on the next portrait. The reason why I decided to change the light and shadow was because I had already studied. I had taken courses and everything on light and shadow, so I had a good grasp of how it worked. But at this moment, I still hadn't realized how impactful light and shadow can be. So if I had decided suddenly, well, I'm gonna do an image with really extreme perspective or complex background, I wouldn't really be able to do it at that point. So that's why choosing light and shadow was the easiest for me. So on day 2, I created again a simple image, just a character doing nothing, but this time I decided to do some dramatic lighting, and the result was so much better. Oh, I was so happy when I looked at it. I was like, man, I can't believe I'm the one who did this. Wow. So I noticed I was onto something. But when I did this second painting, I think I still hadn't used a photo reference. I used someone else's art as reference. So I made this painting. I was like, whoa, I'm so proud of it. And on day 3, I had this idea. I'm like, well, if day 2 looked so good, what else can I do with light and shadow? So I decided to take a simple portrait, the same type of portrait that I had been doing so far, but this time I went to Pinterest and I found a really really cool light reference. And I did basically a photo study of this light reference. And this image, this one people really liked and they commented on it, and the video I posted on TikTok kind of went viral, and I was like, oh, this is what my art has been missing. So because of this, most of my paintings on the challenge were basically light and shadow studies. I was experimenting with how much can I push this light compared to the reference, and what types of light create what types of mood and story for each image. And it isn't just my art that improved with light and shadow. You can see that my students' art, they also improved a ton just because of light and shadow. It's one of the best and most important fundamentals of art. That's why I'm opening my Light and Color Academy doors real soon. And if you want to be the first one to know, just click the link in the description to join the priority list. So this was one first major change that happened throughout the art challenge. Before the art challenge, my art was quite boring, like really boring. Seriously, I can't even blame anyone for not liking it and for the images not taking off on social media, because I wouldn't really care about these artworks if they weren't mine. So I had to find a way to make my art have more story and touch people's hearts and just have more impact in general. Alright, and then I figured out how to make awesome art, right? Not quite. But an even greater obstacle was coming and I wasn't aware yet. So I was making the paintings day 1, day 2, 3, 4. Around day 5, I think, I took a look at the schedule, like my calendar, and then I realized I hadn't really planned what I was doing, and I was going to travel for 2 entire weeks during the 100 days period. And then I really freaked out. I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? 2 entire weeks. Of course I wouldn't be able to draw and paint complete images while traveling. So after panicking and considering, I was like, maybe if I quit it, no one will notice. But honestly, I had already started posting on social media and say, hey, this day 1 of 100, day 2 of 100, day 3 of 100. So I had this social pressure and accountability. Even if actually nobody cared, I cared because I knew I had committed to doing it. So I could only do the only possible solution, which was I had to create 2 paintings per day for 15 days to make up for the 15 days that I would be away. And this was so interesting because what I expected that it would be a huge problem, a major issue, actually became one of the biggest breakthroughs in my art career. Because if I had to make 2 complete paintings, start to finish, in one day, that could only result in one thing. I became really fast. Seriously, I became so fast at it. I could make a painting in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and I was like, okay, this is done. Let's move on to the next. And this was really precious because before then, it would take me many days to finish one simple portrait. And at this point, I was like, I can't afford it. Like the time, I don't have the time to waste. So I started making 2 paintings in a day. And because of that, I could learn a lot about digital art. I had to develop processes to make it quicker. I had to figure out drawing apps, hacks, and other things that just speed up the process. In the end, I did draw during the trip, but just a little bit, just because I can't spend so long without drawing. It was just enough to get started with a few of the paintings that I would do when I came back from the trip. But there was yet a third benefit from this challenge that completely took me by surprise. And it was, as I was making those portraits every single day, start to finish, the same type of process, the same type of portrait, it just started getting so boring. Honestly, so boring. I mean, all the power to artists who can create the same type of artwork with the same subject every day, but I get bored real easily. So as I started making those paintings every day, the same type of portrait, and all of them were so boring, and I was more efficient and quicker in what I did, what resulted was, if now I could spend 1 hour painting a simple portrait and finish it, that meant if I had another hour, I could work on something else on the painting. So with that, I started making, well, what if instead of a bust, I make a half body? What if instead of half body, I make a full body? What if I add a background? And I could start experimenting with pushing the limits and pushing what I could do with an artwork in a short amount of time. And this boredom is at the root of one of the biggest leaps in my art, because if I no longer am limited to drawing only one type of subject, then of course my art improved a lot. So you can see I started painting busts, just shoulder up. As it felt too restricting, I was painting half bodies like on day 8 and 11 and 14 that you will see here. And then I wanted to add more story and maybe a little bit of background. So on day 23 and day 37, you can see those. And it also led me to painting full body characters like you can see on day 27 and on day 37. In the meantime, I started noticing how it bothered me to create that type of art that I was used to doing so far, that had no story and had no emotion. So I started running away and drifting away from it and dissociating from this type of art as much as possible. But at the same time, this was my comfort zone. Creating a portrait, a bust, shoulder up, that's absolutely my comfort zone. That meant if I had a day where I had low energy, I was tired, I just didn't have it in me to create something really, I would just go back to what I was used to doing and I would create a portrait like this Hitsugaya painting here, which I didn't really like even back then. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. If I had to finish a challenge and I didn't have the energy to do it that day, I just did the simplest image I could do. Still, even though I was improving steadily with the challenge, there was this one day, I don't really remember, but I'm gonna write it here somewhere, where I started painting this one painting that I had, this awesome idea with a background and a character and this cool lighting, but I couldn't finish it because sincerely I just didn't know how to. So I tried and I tried and I tried and I didn't know how to do it. So I ended up having to let it go. I suspended. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let go of this one that I'm trying to do. I'm gonna work on other paintings. But this is important and I'm mentioning it because we're gonna go back to this attempt later on. Let's take a look at two of the paintings now that they were some of my favorite during this challenge. First one was day 47. This painting, I was so proud of this painting and I couldn't believe I actually did it because so far before starting this challenge, I was really bad at drawing backgrounds. Like I could do it sometimes, but it wasn't really good. And then on this image, I could take a really complex image with thousands of leaves and rocks and sand and all those natural elements that are so hard to simplify, and I could do it. I made this really beautiful painting that even to this day I really love this painting. So day 47 was a special landmark because it was when I could see, oh wait, I can actually do this. I can make a complex scene with a background. And then on day 50, this one was extra special because, well, first I had completed half of the challenge and I was like, whoa, I actually did 50 paintings, whoa! Before then, I would make like 20 paintings in a year, maybe, or 30 sometimes. But this time I did 50 in 50 days and I was already like, wow, this is amazing. And so for this special moment, I decided to paint a couple that I really, really love, my favorite fictional couple. And they are the reason why I started posting my art on social media in the first place and why I started drawing every day, just because I was so deep into this fandom back in 2016 or something. And so I made this painting of them and I was also proud because the lighting was complex and the colors, they worked really well, and it touched my heart because it was a couple I really liked. And this painting kind of felt like I was honoring my roots or something like that. It felt really amazing. On the next few days, I mostly did basic portraits with one or two complex images here and there. Now, let's analyze picture 59. You can see it here on the screen somewhere. And you can notice that it's black and white. And you might be, why is it black and white, Bruna? So far, you had only painted colored images, but something happened on this day. I hadn't planned ahead, but I spent the whole day out. I wasn't home, I couldn't paint, I couldn't draw, and when I got back home, it was already 10:30 p.m. I'm not a night owl, I go to bed by 9, usually. So 10:30, I was already, my battery was like 1%, my existential battery, 1%. I was absolutely ready to sleep. And then I'm like, oh no, I didn't paint today. And I thought, well, maybe if I skip one day, no one will notice. Maybe they wouldn't, maybe they would. But in any case, I had committed that I would do it. So it felt wrong to skip a day. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do it as quickly as I can. And it's gonna be simple and black and white. And it is what it is. And so I did it. I did this simple painting. And I wanted to mention because sometimes you create a challenge or you're joining a challenge, and if there's this one day where you can't do something as perfect as you wanted to do, you just skip it or just abandon the whole challenge because of it. And calm down. There's no reason for that. Just do the bare minimum you can do to fill out all the requisites for the challenge. In this case, my challenge didn't have the prerequisite that it had to be colored, so I could do it. And so that's what I did. So far, I had basically only painted studies or screen cap redraws without much creativity from me. I wasn't really creating and crafting scenes. And then with my boredom, that started feeling really tedious. So I wanted to create more. And starting on day 63, maybe, I think, I started making more. The images, they don't seem more complex, but they were more complex to make because I assembled like 3 or 5 different references to make it. And I was so proud of these paintings because, again, I was used to making studies and simple art. I wasn't used to creating something complex like this. So it felt amazing and it was really good for my artistic growth. Around day 76 or so, I was already so tired. And it makes sense. It had been more than 2 months already, and there was still almost an entire month to go. And again, to make sure that I wouldn't lose and quit the challenge, I started making simple paintings. On the days when I had more energy, I would create something more extravagant, and on all the other days I would just do the bare minimum so I could finish it. And then near the end, 2 really cool things happened. The first one was, do you remember that painting that we talked about that I had given up on, and I was like, I don't have the skills to do it? Well, on day 98, I'm like, wait, I've drawn over 90 images and finished and painted all of them. So now maybe I can do it. Let's try it. And I finished it. I did manage it. Now, it's not one of my favorite paintings and I don't really like it. And even back then, I didn't really like it. There are many issues with this image. But that was such a clear improvement because I couldn't even finish it. Even if it was ugly, I couldn't finish it before. And then now I finished, and it's not ugly. I'm not gonna accept anyone to say it is. It's not ugly. It might not be ideal. It's not a masterpiece, but it's not ugly. So I was so proud of it. Like, wow, that just shows sometimes we just need mileage. Of course, if you just draw mindlessly without really paying attention to what you're doing, you can spend 10 years doing that, you're probably not going to improve much. But if you draw like I did, it was 98 images at this point. After each one, I would analyze and see what can I do better next time and what can I improve. Then it's only natural. You can't not improve. You can't. It's just if you analyze and you see that, well, this point could be better, on the next painting you'll make it better. So that was a huge win for me, and I felt so happy that I managed to finish a painting that I had abandoned before. And then on the final day, day 100, I wanted to do something special, so I decided to make a redraw. It wasn't a redraw from one of the paintings from the challenge, but a redraw from a painting I had done in 2013, 10 years before. And this is the result, and I was so happy to see it. I know 10 years is a long time, but for me, I'm not actually like talented, and I didn't learn art quickly. It took me a long time. So seeing that 10-year improvement made me so happy and so excited. And it's just, I love redraws because you can clearly see, oh, my effort is paying off. It works. If I study and I practice and I do my part, I will improve. So that's why I love redraws, and that's what I did on the last day. Now, before we finish this video, we're not actually quite done yet. There was one more thing that I got out of this challenge, and it was, well, like I mentioned, on the challenge rules that I created for myself, I would post 1 image and 1 reel every day on Instagram. I knew I could grow a little with this, but the proportion it took, I didn't really expect. Before I started the challenge, I had around 2,000 followers, and then 1 or 2 videos I posted went viral. And then by the end of the challenge, I had gained 20,000 followers. And if that's not already amazing, because I mean, who doesn't like having thousands of followers? That feels awesome. But it's not really about the numbers. It's about, before I would post my art and get crickets, and after I started having a few true fans and people who would comment on my art or reply to my stories and just connect, and we could talk about art. I made some art friends this way, and this is the best. This feels amazing because art is really lonely. So having this connection, creating a community and making friends, that is the best part. It was so good. And obviously your career also benefits from having a larger following because now I could get sponsorships, I could get a book deal. I got way more commission than I did before. So overall, this challenge, although it was super hard, it gave me so much. I learned so much from it and my art improved so much. If watching this video inspired you in any way, shape or form and you're like, wow, I want to do something like that, I would say go for it. It can be 100 days, which I don't think is easy at all. I know some people make like 365 days of painting. I have no idea how they do it. 100 was really my limit. But you can do like 50 days or 30 or 7 days, whatever is a challenge you can tackle, and you will definitely improve when you do it. Of course, the more days and the more time you spend, the more you will improve. But you gotta do what you can do. There's no point in saying, I'm gonna do 100 days and then quitting after 10. I mean, you will improve anyway, but it feels bad for us, for our heart, like knowing that I said I would do 100 and I didn't. So just do what you can do. When you have time restriction to work on your art, you improve a ton. It can't be helped. If you have no idea how to do a challenge like this, then I have an entire video talking about how to plan and start and make sure you will finish an art challenge. Just click it here to watch it and I'll see you there.